Hey guys, welcome back for Declutter series number 4. Today we're going to do eyeshadows. So I'm going to grab singles and palettes, and I'm going to show you where I have them stored right now. If you guys don't know why I'm doing such a huge declutter, why I even have all this makeup, I'm linking my first declutter video, which is foundations, powders, and primers. That will explain what my goal is, how I accumulated all this makeup, and what will be happening to all the products that are still in good condition and can be sanitized. There's obviously things that are not in good condition, cannot be donated or shared. Those are going to unfortunately go in the garbage. Details on that, check that out if you don't know what I'm talking about. Check that out if you're curious as to what crazy person is going to downsize this much. Check that out if you think I'm being wasteful. I addressed all that. Okay, so let's get started. Here is my drawer filled with single shadows and small eyeshadow palettes. Right here, I've managed to clear out series from 1 through 3. Check that out. I will probably have this in a playlist as well for all declutters on my main channel page. Stepping over here, got a ton of palettes. So these are the palettes that I love the most and kind of go through the most. And these are like my single shadows, and these are palettes that I like to keep for reference and also I really like. So I'm gonna pull everything out and place it on a towel on the floor because I don't have a table big enough. Here's a look at all of my eyeshadows. This includes all powders, pot products, and small quads and things like that. I'm going to separate them a little bit. I'm going to start with the singles and the smaller palettes to go through first, and then I'll work my way to the palettes. This is going to be the hardest one for me, I think, because I really want to condense this to fit in my top drawer, and this took up 2-3 drawers, less than a drawer. Let's see what happens. Here are all of my smaller palettes and my single powder eyeshadows, and I have 17 of them total. So first off, I'm going through the ones that kind of are very similar, and because I haven't gotten any use out of this Dior one and I bought it for myself because I wanted a treat, I am definitely going to keep the Dior one. So in that situation, I'm going to let go of the Lila B one, the Mineral Fusion one, which is really good. Even though I love both of these and they work really well, I just think I don't need 3 different purplish eyeshadow palettes because I also am keeping all of my Tom Ford ones. My mom had bought me this one and I don't care if it's bad, I'm still keeping it. And then these two I collected too. So I'm going to kind of keep this Dior one that's very similar to my Tom Ford one up there. These milk ones I really love, but I just don't get enough use out of them. I bring them with me on my like more summery vacations. I don't think I get enough use, so I'm going to let these go as well. I've had this one from NARS for quite some time. You can see I really dug into it. I also really used to love this gold. I just haven't really been wearing gold eyeshadow in a while, and if I do, I'm sure I can find something or I'll get something soon. I'm going to let this one go as well. I have 2 single shadows from Burberry, and I really love this one for every day. This one takes a little bit more work, so I'm gonna let this one go. It's very beautiful as well, and I wore it all fall. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, I am trying to downsize because I know when our lease is up and we move, we're going from 2,300 square feet to probably less than 1,000 square feet. I'm not gonna have my own beauty room, and everything kind of has to fit in a drawer, or maybe a dresser. I'm also going to let go of this Mineral Fusion one. It's really pretty, but I also know that I have some other ones that are clean that I love as well. So I'm going to keep this Lila B one because I feel like it's very unique and it has a really pretty army shade. Love how smooth these are too. So I'm worried, you know what, I actually might let this one go too because the colors, while they're pretty, they don't really go well together. So I would have to still use another palette, and I'm trying not to do that right now. I'm going to let this one go as well. This one is just not practical. Look how tiny that is. I'm gonna let that go. I can barely fit a brush in there. Now I've got these left, and I think I did pretty good. I had 17. I want to keep 7, so I got rid of 10. I might have to come back and try and get rid of more, but right now I'm pretty happy with this. I might let go of this one. This is my Eco Bella one, because I have 2 shadows that look very similar in a palette that I know from Mother Bear's handmade, and that's like a custom palette she made for me, and it's very, very clean. This blush is really pretty, but again, I have a lot of blushes, so I actually might let this go completely too. Okay, so down to 6, and I think that's pretty good. From 17 to 6. I mean, I'm not getting rid of this Estee Lauder by Violet Violet. I mean, I just got this and it's so pretty and I love her so much. So I love this look. I'm gonna keep this a little bit longer, but I think that's a good collection. And then I'm gonna move on to my single creams and single like pressed pigments. So here are 50 single cream shadows, pressed pigments, tube pigments, or glitters. That's Dolly snoring on my right. I love so many of them because I do declutters pretty often, but this is, like I mentioned, like the biggest one I've done in a long time. And though I love these, things are being forgotten about and I'm not using them and they're just sitting away rotting in my collection when I can probably find someone else who would enjoy this. For sure, I know I'm not going to keep this Jillian Dempsey lid tint. It's just dried out really quickly and I don't really love this texture. I know it's supposed to be a cream, but if you guys can see that, it's like choppy. I got this because of a Lisa Eldridge tutorial, but it just doesn't wear very nicely. And I don't know if I got a bad one. Yeah, gross. I don't know why I've kept that one that long. I'm not going to keep any of these up here because I think I can find similar situations in the rest of my makeup. So getting rid of all of these from Artisan, Dilla, and 100% Pure. I rarely ever reach for these as well, and I got them when I first started YouTube, so I'm gonna let these go. This dose of colors I bought at the last IMATS I went to, which I can't even remember what year that was. It's never even been opened. I've never even used it, and I don't think I'm gonna get to it at this point. It's kind of like your clothes. You bought it, the tag's still on it, it's been like a year and you still haven't worn it, you probably should donate it, but I'm gonna donate that. It's never been used. Seal is still on. Here are all of my Kylie Cosmetics creams. I'm letting all of these go because I loved the gold one when I first got it, but it's starting to dry out, and that's the only one I would have kept, is this really beautiful gold. But you can see it's still really creamy, but the edges are starting to dry out, so I'll probably give this to someone to play with before it dries out fully. Next up, I have these beautiful Makeup Forever pigments. I think I'm gonna just keep one, maybe two, I don't know, maybe this one. Let me just look at this real quick. Yeah, this is really pretty. It's like a champagne-y. I feel like that's a very versatile, gorgeous thing I can play with. So I'm gonna let go of the rest of them. I'll probably put up this more. This I was obsessed with. It's also, I feel like, starting to lose a little bit of the creaminess, and I feel like it's starting to make my eyes look muddy. You know how like you've changed your style and your look? This is the Groundwork from MAC. This is actually a really great color, but I'm just gonna let that go. Moving along, this is the Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill. I love this thing. This is not going anywhere. This is why I let go of a lot of the other golds, is because this is like by far such a great gold. I can make it work with a lot of things. This is something I'm like on the fence about because I love the concept of it. It's from Kevin Aquan and it's supposed to be like it's called Moonlight, and it's a diamond eye gloss. Your eyes definitely feel glossy. So I just don't think it's the right product for me. It's not very practical. It's more editorial. It just makes my eyes feel itchy after I wear it because it's all glossy and oily. So I think I'm just going to let that go as well. Then I've got the RMS. This is also kind of why I let go of Groundwork, is because I really love this one, which is they're called, these are called cream eyeshadows, but they're so beautiful. I love them, and they're quite pigmented, and you can sheer that out. And then I also have this Indian Wood from MAC. I really like this one, so I think I'm going to keep this one. Then I've got Spiced from Tom Ford. This is by far one of my all-time favorites. It's only good for 6 months. I've had it for a few years. But you know what? I don't care because it's that good. And this is the one that my mom got me. So again, another reason why I just have to have it in my collection. It's more sentimental than anything. Keeping that, even though it's very similar to the RMS one. Then I have the New Moon. This is my second one from Chanel. I originally bought the New Moon when it was a limited edition, and then they brought it back. It's so gorgeous. I highly recommend this. These two, Spiced and New Moon from Chanel, are two of my favorite cream shadows type of products. Spiced, I'm gonna make sure it's not too similar to this RMS one. No, it's definitely different. And then let me just double check with this MAC Indian Wood. I'm gonna justify and say it's different, so I'm keeping all three. And then this product I barely ever used. I got it during the holidays from Burberry, and it's so gorgeous. But I don't know how I would use this. Maybe on the lids. That might actually look really pretty on the lids. Nice wash of shimmer. I'm gonna keep this around a little bit longer because you can tell I like barely use this stuff. Okay, moving right along, I have a bunch of these Dilla Glitters, and I loved these when they came out. Definitely more of like a going out look for me, so I'm gonna get rid of all of them because I haven't used them in probably since they first got to me, and I know other people will enjoy them. Some I haven't even used at all. This is from Pop Beauty. I do like this, but there's a lot of similar things, so I'm gonna let this go. Here are my Milk Eye Pigments. These are like super duper long lasting. I think I have every shade too. I clearly don't wear every shade. My favorite one is this one for an evening look, Silent Disco, so I'm keeping that. I love these newer tones. So this is Hotel Lobby, which is one of my favorite newer shades. And then there's After Party, which is a really pretty pink. But I think my Glossier Lid Star is very similar to that. By the way, Glossier Lid Star is not even in here because there's no way I'm getting rid of any of those. Is Gig, which I also really like. And so I think I can get rid of all of these. And then I just haven't had a chance to use these for Makeup Forever, so I'm going to let those go as well. Here are the ones I'm keeping. I'm actually going to swatch this real quick and make sure it's not too similar to my Glossier Lid Star. I don't think it is, and the texture is very different. You know what? I actually am not going to wear this pink, so I'm going to let that go. It looks better in the tube. So I'm going to keep 3 of the Milk Pigments, which I think is very, very good of me. After everything's said and done, I am left with 10. I think that's really good. From 50 to 10. I'm very proud of myself. Okay, I'm going to move into the tragic one now, palettes. Okay, so here are 46 eyeshadow palettes, not including some of my other palettes I created, so I'll show you that in another moment. I'm going to work on these first, taking up my entire towel. So 46 currently. I'll show you guys what I will be eliminating. Now I'm going to preface the fact that I'm going to keep all of the collections, like the Nakeds, the Loracs, and the Too Faced, because of the fact that I like to do how to pick palette videos. So while I might not use these palettes a ton, it's mainly to compare and contrast, like for my job. I'm gonna keep all of these, so this will be easy for me to kind of just be like, okay, I'm keeping these. I might store them in a different drawer and just rotate them in. Let's start in this corner over here. I have 3 Charlotte Tilbury face palettes, and I'm only going to keep my favorite one, which is the Glow one. This is, I think, the second one that came out. I just reach for this more. It's more versatile and it flatters my skin tone more. So this is a keeper. I'll be letting go of the smoky eye one with the black. It's very beautiful still, but just don't get much use out of it anymore. And then this is the original one. This is such a great one, especially if you're a little bit fairer. This is really, really stunning. But again, I just like this one more, so I'm gonna let go of these 2. So I have the Better Naked palette from 100% Pure. I love these palettes for travel. They are very clean, fruit pressed pigments. This is the Pretty Naked and then Better Naked. So I'm keeping both of these because it's rare to find such beautiful, super clean, toxic free palette. Now I'm gonna let go of this Jouer Skinny Dip palette because I did get quite a bit of use out of it, and I just haven't reached for it since last summer. This is a tough one for me. I have yet to use this because I am overwhelmed with what I own. So I want to keep this around because I want to get some use out of it. This is the Anastasia Modern Romance, and it's sad that I've never used it, and I've had it for quite some time. If you guys are original viewers, you know when I bought this, or if you watch my videos pretty frequently, you know that I bought this quite a long time ago for me to not be using it. This is awesome. This is Mother Bear's Handmade. She has an Etsy shop and it's handmade eyeshadows, and she created this palette for me. So I'm not letting go of this. This is absolutely stunning and I reach for it quite a bit. It's also super clean and toxic free, talc free. This is probably one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, and I was using it nonstop. You can see I made quite a dent in there. The only issue is I forgot about it, so I'm gonna keep it and get rid of other things. It's an eye palette. It's so gorgeous. Moving right along, I'm gonna let go of this Jouer palette. This is the Springtime in Paris. I just haven't worn it that often, and then I'm gonna let go of the original one because there is a broken eyeshadow. It's getting a little bit loose. Although I just pressed it and it kind of went away. I feel like my friend Sarah would really like this. I might save this for her because she's been looking for a good neutral eyeshadow palette. So So I know they're coming out with a new one too very soon, and it's talc free. Moving right along, these are my new Bare Mineral ones. These are hard to let go of because they're brand new, so I might have to come back to this. I am gonna let go of this Makeup Geek palette because I was so excited when it came out, but I just never really got much use out of it. I'm also going to let go of my Natasha Denona Star palette. I have not reached for it since when I first kind of got it. I did get quite a bit of use out of it, but not enough for me recently. So like I mentioned, I'm keeping all of my Lorac Pro palettes in case they come out with a new one. I can do a how to pick palette. I'm keeping all of my Naked palettes for that reason as well, and I love the Naked Heat. I feel like is my favorite, and the Naked Original. This is a fresh one because they sent me a fresh one recently. And there's the Naked Basics, which I'm also going to keep. The Naked Petite Heat, this is actually one of my favorites for travel too. This is my Jouer one, which is pretty new, so I'm going to put it up there with my Gen Nude ones from Bare Minerals. As much as I love these from Patrick Star and MAC, I'm going to let these go because they're very similar to some of my other eyeshadows already. I'm going to get rid of my Inglot palette that I custom built. I'm very sad about this. I just don't reach for it hardly ever anymore. I really enjoyed this Touch and Soul Metalist High Shine Bouncy Cream Shadow Palette, but I really only use these two shades, and I feel like I can create, like with my other products I kept, I feel like I can still create this, so I'm gonna let this go as well. You guys are gonna kill me. This Bobbi Brown palette I bought and I never ended up using it. Clearly I'm not going to probably get to it, so I'm gonna let that go, pass it on to someone that might get some use out of it. I'm keeping all of my Too Faced palettes over here, all the chocolate bars and the peach palette. You can see right there. Now for my absolute favorites. These are the Marc Jacobs ones, but I don't need all of them. Although every time I look at them, I want to keep all of them because they're so gorgeous. I feel like I just don't wear a lot of plums, but I love this beautiful like shade right here, but I also kept so many plummy shades in my smaller palettes, so I'm gonna let this one go. This is probably my all-time favorite one. This one is called Glam Bishan, and it's just so gorgeous. It's one of my favorites, so I think I'm gonna keep this one. This one is a very unique one with the greens, and I actually loved the looks I was able to create with it, so I don't know. This one's also very purpley and plummy, so maybe I'll let go of this, but it has like a beautiful smoky effect. This is so hard. This one I might, no, I don't know. Maybe I'll let this one go. This one is Scandalust. This gorgeous blue, and I don't really have anything like this just yet, especially with this beautiful gray shade. Oh, and then there's this beautiful silver, but I just don't think, but then there's blue. Look at that blue and that green. These are so gorgeous and very unique. So I might have to keep all three of these. I know this sounds ridiculous, huh? Over here in this corner, I have just like some of these shadows left, so I'm actually gonna let these go because I'm not keeping any of my single shadows that I've created in palettes. It doesn't make sense because I never reach for them. I am keeping the Laura Lee Nudie Patootie. I quite enjoy this palette, plus I haven't gotten enough use out of it, so this is still in process of review. I'm so behind. New Urban Decay Beached eyeshadow palette. I love this one too. I want to keep it just because it's pretty new, but I also just got their newest eyeshadow palette and I've been wearing that like crazy because this one doesn't have really enough mattes for me, but I love using this as an accent, so I'm gonna keep this too. I'm clearly not doing a very good job right now. So I'm keeping 31 palettes, including all the Naked, Loracs, and Too Faced Chocolate Bar and Peach. I do so great here, unfortunately, but I am getting rid of all of my single shadows. Like, so I have all these Z palettes with Makeup Geek shadows and Makeup Forever shadows. I'm getting rid of all of these because I just don't reach for them. They're such beautiful shadows. Palette type of girl. I don't know, maybe I'll condense it and keep it down to one. I also have my MAC ones. I feel like I should keep this. So I had 3 Z palettes. I condensed it to 1, and one of those 3 Z palettes was a dual-sided one, so I condensed it down to one thin one like this. These are all Makeup Geek shadows. These are the ones I've decided to keep, and then also one blush. Of everything I said I was keeping, I am going to keep my dual little MAC palette. Of course, this is probably the most boring palette because it is literally all neutrals. It's taken me a few years to collect these, and I feel like maybe I'll get some use out of it, Hopefully I'll get some use out of it. And that's what I'm keeping, guys. This is all I'm keeping for eyeshadows. I'm gonna put this back in the drawer, show you how I organize it. Not quite as big of a declutter as I was hoping for my shadows, but this is probably one of the hardest things for me to let go of. I managed to fit half of the collection, specifically all the single shadows, smaller palettes, and creams right in this little slot here. And then I've put the face palette from Charlotte Tilbury that does have 3 shadows, but it's really a face palette right next to my Too Faced one. And then I have all of these right here. And then my second drawer down below, which I'm very happy is almost empty, I placed the rest of the palettes, the Urban Decay Naked palettes, the Too Faced, and then the Marc Jacobs ones, 2 that I really need to test out a little more, and then this one that I just kind of made for myself. Hopefully now that everything's kind of in one area, I'll get more use out of it. I'll try and keep it within this one area before we move so that it makes moving easier. And honestly, I might have to even downsize more when we move, which is unfortunate. It is what it is. So that's everything for this declutter video. Make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, and don't forget to check out my other declutter videos in the declutter series. There is a playlist on my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!